I do know. I mean, I think Roman Harper's really good. I know he hates giving Georgia any sort of love. One of his quotes here when they were talking about the schedule, Matt, was talking about Georgia, and as you said, you take the G off. He said Georgia deserves respect and credit, and that they were saying it was a discussion there in the SEC unveiling of the scheduling, talking about how if you this is going to be really difficult, but we're acting like it's not because it's Georgia, and they do deserve respect and credit, is what Roman Harper had to say, former Alabama linebacker and Saints great for you too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I think they do too. I mean, I think, the three of us have watched enough Georgia games to know we've seen in person in the current run, we've seen them lose two games. That's it. And we've seen them narrowly win. I would say narrowly win twice, which was Ohio State in 22, Missouri in 22, and Auburn in 23. Am I missing any other ones?
You talk about the current run being 21 and on.
And Clemson in 21.
The
So
Clemson, yeah, I was going to say the Clemson
yeah,
game wasn't.
they're not exactly, you're not at bated breath at the end of these games usually.
No, I'm snacking in the press box. I've said that before. Like most of the games, the game ends, I'm hitting publish on my thoughts from the box. I got it figured out already. I know what happened, and I'm trying to tell everyone else. So I'm having a good time when Georgia plays in Knoxville, right?
What are the
or when they play
snacks? Very quickly.
snacks. It depends on the stadium. Knoxville does a great job. I think Kentucky does a great job.
Yes.
Although covering a game in Lexington's a little tougher because Georgia, it doesn't seem to play their best, and I think it's because Kentucky is one of those more physical games. The players and the coaches talk about that all the time. They leave with a couple bruises. They leave with a win, but that's always a hard-fought game, except, I guess, when DeAndre Swift ran through them like butter in 2018. But Georgia does deserve respect, and we can go back to 2017. It's not like this is a 3-year run, in my opinion. I mean, they played for a national title in Kirby's second year. They were the second best team in the country in 2017. Very good in 18. Almost beat Alabama in that SEC title game. They were good, not great in 2019, but they were still a top 10 team. They lost only 2 games.
In the country, or 4, whatever it was in 2019.
Right. Maybe didn't feel like it, but they were still really good. In 2020, they only lost 2 games, and it seems like that's a throwaway season people don't want to remember. And then ever since then, yeah, I get it. But again, you're either elite or you're not, and Georgia has a chance to prove once again that they are the elite program in college football if they can get through this somewhat of a gauntlet, Ryan, of a road schedule this year.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little confused. Is someone not respecting Georgia? What prompted him to say that?
Well, they were talking about, we're just kind of going through like this, like, because it's nothing, and the whole point here. I can read the entire quote to you.
I just don't know that there's anyone out there that's not giving Georgia their flowers right now.
He says they're Georgia. They deserve that respect and credit. They've earned it. The one thing that they were talking about, the difference between Georgia and Florida. He said they've earned it. The one thing that Florida has not. Florida has earned. I'm sorry. The Gators have earned us to have this opinion about them because they've not won the games that we've expected them to. I don't know about that. They've pretty much done what I've expected them to do, the Gators. Talking about the last couple of years, you get what you deserve, and you are what your record is. That is what we're forming our opinions on. So he's comparing them to, he's just basically saying, hey, if Florida had this schedule, we'd be killing them. We would say they have no shot.
Well, they don't have a shot.
Florida has by the way, Florida, Ryan, I'm going to throw it back to you. They play Miami, Texas A&M, Tennessee, Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, and Florida State. They're over under, y'all, for the year is 4.5. For the Florida Gators, that's insane. I mean, for Georgia Tech to be at 4.5 would be wrong.
They should. Yeah, I'm looking at it. I mean, I would expect them to lose the last 6 or 7. They could go 3-9.
They'll beat Samford. I would imagine they'll beat Mississippi State. The only certain win for Florida, looking at this thing, and again, it's Miami, Samford, Samford, not Stanford, Miami, Samford, A&M, State, UCF, Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, and Florida State. There is a possibility that they could close their season with 5 straight teams going into the playoff. I would say 6 of their 7 last games could be teams that are in the playoff.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous schedule. But if it was Georgia and you
who would
you
Georgia
lined it
lose
up,
to there?
we,
LSU
I
and
mean, the
Texas?
only thing is the LSU game and the Texas game. But that's the whole point, right?
Ole
If
Miss.
you just flip it around, but if you put Georgia there, it's very similar to what they already have to deal with, and everyone thinks Georgia's going to be at least 10, 11, 12 games, possibly 13-0 SEC champion. They're just moving in opposite directions. Florida's going down and Georgia's going up, and it just continues to go that way. And this year, they're going to take another step back. I mean,
I don't
Bill
know if
Napier's not going to last this whole time. I mean, they're taking
I don't
another
think
step back.
yeah. I don't think they're a bad team. I think they've got a lot of talent and a returning quarterback who is probably better than he gets credit for, but it's the schedule. They might have the toughest schedule in the country, and it's not going to look good for Napier. And then they've got the freshman quarterback behind him. It's not going to be easy for that guy in 2025 next year. We talk about this. Georgia didn't get any favors with the schedule. Well, neither did Florida. But that's because Florida hasn't done their job the last several years on the recruiting trail. Behind the scenes, it just doesn't seem like they care about winning as much as teams like Georgia and Alabama and now Texas and even Tennessee. Tennessee was a laughing stock of the Conference of LA just a few years ago, but they got the right coach in there, and he's taking them further and further, I think, kind of better. I know they took a step back last year without Hendon Hooker, but I think Tennessee is getting better. I don't know if Florida's a bad team, but they're going to have a bad record, Dean.
I mean, their close is insane. Georgia, Texas, and LSU alone. And then you follow that up with Ole Miss and Florida State. I'm looking at everybody else. I mean, Alabama's close is not ideal. LSU, then Mercer, Oklahoma, and Auburn. 2 of those 4 games were on the road. Auburn's closing with A&M and then Bama. Kentucky closes with Texas and Louisville. LSU goes Bama, Florida, Vandy, Oklahoma. They should certainly win. I would think 3 of those. You would think, and then like a lot of people do have the second to last weekend kind of open, but Texas closes with Florida, Arkansas, Kentucky, and A&M. They will be. Texas gets to the championship game. That's gonna be a back-to-back. Even with Arkansas, Kentucky, A&M, those will be brutally physical games for Texas. They should probably win all of them. I'm just saying that they're gonna, they will have gone through it. Whereas Georgia would be going UMass and then Tech, and then you look at say Bama, Oklahoma, Auburn. That's not a lot of fun. I think when you talk about the respect, etc. We can't know. It's very possible, Ryan, that everybody could just eat losses, and this has just become the Premier League, and you need to perform against Crystal Palace when you're supposed to. But I don't know. I mean, Georgia's schedule is really chopped up into 3 different sections. You've got the beginning, which is Clemson, Tennessee Tech, and then Kentucky break, Bama, Auburn, State, Texas. If you come out of that section undefeated, Ryan, you're really looking at very possibly an undefeated season because you close with the Gators, Ole Miss, trip to Ole Miss, Tennessee, at UMass, and Tech, all 3 of those games at home.
Yeah, it wasn't lined up where Georgia had to deal with just big game after big game. It's almost 3 different little mini seasons. Yes. But like what you were kind of hinting at a second ago, every week is going to be big in this conference now. There's just too many teams. There's too many good teams. They're all going to be matched up. And there's going to be some seasons where there isn't an undefeated team, and they probably ate themselves alive a little bit. And there's also the pressure of having to go undefeated or having to only lose 1 game is gone. It's there's a little bit more of a margin for error. Is that going to change the way that coaches are coaching and the way people attack games? No, but there is just mentally a little bit of extra margin for error. So I do think that we are going to see seasons where the league just kind of eats itself alive, and there's not just this one clear top team in the conference. And this season might be one of those seasons. But as far as Georgia goes, this, as daunting as it looks, it's not impossible. If they are the best team in the country, they're going to get through it just fine.
All right, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video.